I'm hammering the retweet on that. There we go, baby.
Ooh,
Let's go.
second retweet.
Let's go. Yep. Hashtag first. Yep. Producer Eamon on top of it today. AC on the ones and twos, a Wednesday edition of the Slate, the highest rated edition of this show, Monday through Friday. Sweet T Fowler, Jeff Ulrich. Wow, what a day, huh? What a day. May the 4th be with you. But more importantly, gentlemen, I know, Reed, I know. Did you know it is also Rory McIlroy's birthday? So you got to pour one out for him because his birthday's overshadowed by this May the 4th holiday every year, and he probably hates himself.
Poor guy, hey? I mean, poor guy.
Seriously.
Does he? Because he shares a birthday with some sort of play on words?
Yeah, today's his birthday, dude. And this didn't become a thing till what? Maybe the last 5 years or something?
I think he's doing fine.
No, he's miserable. I can tell that he's miserable.
Well, you know what he should do? He should check out DK Dogs. He needs to clear his mind.
Oh, the best channel on Slack in the history of Slack, by the way. Yeah, dude. Speaking of Rory, though, Reed, yeah, Jeff and I talked most of this week. I think Jeff's been on the show every day. You were on it today, but you were talking football. So it's real similar to last week when we're looking at the Mexico Open. Rahm was that heavy favorite, and then there was that large gap with the next closest guy. And I don't know, some of those tournaments, right? You're not really going to recommend maybe if you bet such a heavy favorite. But What would you do with Rory McIlroy this week? Because it paid off for anyone who got after Jon Rahm last week.
Yeah, I mean 3.5 to 1 plus 350. Yeah, I mean if you put a decent amount of your bankroll on him. Thing is, on the weekend, right, Jeff? If you're watching too, Emerson, he didn't look that good on the weekend. And there were some points where you thought, man, Rahm could actually lose this because he wasn't putting well. But he ended up closing, and he's the second best player in the world. And there's a reason why. He doesn't get phased when he hits that drive on 18, somewhere where Emerson usually hits his drive on the bank of a bunker. Yep. What does he do? He plays it safe, gets up and down for par, and he wins the tournament by 1. So this week, I would argue that plus 850 for Rory. And this has happened, two of the last 3 weeks where the favorite has gone on to win, that Scotty Scheffler out of, right? Jon Rahm here, last week, and now Rory. And so everyone's thinking, and if you look, I tweeted this out, the splits on DK Sportsbook, Rory's got 26% of the handle of bets at plus 850. Yep. And Jeff and I always preach this. That is silly. Even if he wins, that is not a good bet. DFS, fine. He's 11 something, fine. That makes a lot of sense. But this week, no, this is not the type of golf course that Rory wins anyway.
All right, Ulrich, first appearance since that scintillating final round at the Masters. That was so sexy, and especially the way that it ended, and then Morikawa essentially matching him in there on that last hole. But second in the field here in scoring over the last 24 rounds. Is he worth putting a little bit of something on?
No. I mean,
okay.
It's like Reed said. I mean, we were overdue. We got these Luke List winners. We got even Scheffler when he won at Phoenix was a nice winner. We had our run of just 40 and over guys. I'm talking about odds, even just 20 to 1 or more. Guys winning, even at the Sony Open and Cam Smith to open the year at 33 to 1. We had a really nice run of those. The fact he got the board sweep a couple times with Scheffler and then Rahm. I mean, it is what it is. If those guys are going to beat you a couple, at least a few times a year, and that's fine. But long term betting them at even Rory at plus 850, we're basically saying Rory wins every 9 starts on the PGA Tour, which has not really I did win twice last year, but I mean, it really hasn't quite worked out that way for Rory. And with how competitive the PGA Tour is, I mean, I don't know. It's fine. Another thing is, if you had live bet, there were opportunities to live bet Jon Rahm last week. He was minus 150. Minus 150 sounds ridiculously short, but on the weekend with him in contention versus Kurt Kitayama, I mean, minus 150 is not a bad number, right? So there's opportunities to hedge still with the top players. I still think you just construct your betting card with looking for the best value. And I just don't think the best value includes Rory McIlroy. So if he beats me again, but I think you'll see a different kind of tournament than we saw last week.
Yeah, and you take a look, right, too, that around a major tournament, right, who's now won in the last 3 events, right? We saw Scotty Scheffler win the Masters. Before that, right, you saw Scotty Scheffler win the match play, Sam Burns win Valspar, Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele win the Zurich, right? And now John Rahm wins Mexico Open. These guys are getting into form for the PGA Championship in 2 weeks. So it does kind of make sense on how that can factor in. But this is a 156-man field, right? They're like last week was, I think, 132, if I'm not mistaken, or 123, whatever it was. Not to say that 30 people make a difference, but I can see the argument, but it's just
look how close John Rahm came to not winning last week. I mean, he was.
It's true. It was like a 4-way tie, right?
Yeah.
Like around hole 15 or whatever that he had to pull away from.
It was a tie, basically, essentially. I mean, he never had more than a shot lead, and even going into the final hole, he hit a wayward drive, and like he had to essentially 2-putt from like 25 feet to close it out, which, like it's not exactly a dominant type of win. So, I don't know. I'm fine with it. If Rory was plus 1,000, I think there'd be a little bit more merit to jump on him, but he's not.
All right, little longer odds there. I heard you guys talking before the show, before we went up. Little CC's Pizza. Corey Connors, Sweet Tea Fowler. You got a little something on him. He's been busier than Rory McIlroy and has played quite well. So what do we have? Followed up a T6 at the Masters, 12th place finish, RBC Heritage. Still looking for his first tournament win, though, since that Valero Texas Open in 2019. Why are you feeling him a little bit this week?
Yeah, I mean, look, you talk about this number might be a little too short. If you got it with a 2 in front of it, right now it's at plus 1,600. I wouldn't necessarily call that, a lot of value on Corey Connors because he only has one, like you mentioned, Emerson. But 5th off the tee, 3rd in par 4 scoring. You can rattle off all the stats about ball striking. He's one of the best, right? He's one of the best. If you take a look at his putting, it has turned a touch. And he putts better. Like I know he does well on Bermuda. We've seen him play and putt well at places like Sony Open. But Corey Connors, like he's one of the best ball strikers. He's one of those guys too, right, Jeff? That like he's kind of in that top 30, top 40 range, or of what we think of. And if he wins, you're going to probably see him, rattle off a lot of good finishes. Because when you can hit the ball off the tee like he can, and when you can hit your irons to 7 feet, doesn't matter if you're a bad putter. Eventually, these guys are so good, they're going to figure it out for 4 days. Or in this case, where you don't need to have 4 solid days of putting because Kyle Stanley won losing strokes on the greens in 2017, you could do it here. So if there's a place for, and we say this all the time, so I don't want to sound like a broken record. If there's a place for bad putters, this could be it. I will say this, though. Gil Hands, the guy who I think redesigned this course, has made a lot of changes since 2017, 2018. So it might look a little different. Having said that, Corey Connors is one of the best ball strikers. You can never go wrong in that category when you back someone like that. And that's why Russell Henley is probably Jeff's bet.
Okay, Jeff, it's a shorter course this week. What's the yardage on this course, Reed?
7160.
Okay, so he leads the field in strokes gained tee to green on courses less than 7,200 yards. So yes, Connors does. Like, you expect him to be a popular pick this week?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you can look at Reed's split. I'm not sure what his splits are in the betting department. Actually, I'd kind of be interested to see is Connors in the top 5 there? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's in the top 5.
I got him up. So Connors is the 3rd most bet guy behind Finau and McIlroy. Not too shocking there. The other top 5 are Answer and Cam Young. I won't be shocked if Corey Connors wins. I don't even think that my problem with betting him at 1,600 is, I would rather go down to plus 35. I just think that there's a lot of comparable players after Rory. There's a lot of comparable players between plus 1,600 and plus 3,500. Answer is actually one of those comparable players. Mm-hmm. Like if you're giving me Connors at plus 1,600 and then Abraham Answer plus 3,500, it's going to be really hard for me to bet on Corey Connors. I get it. Like, I do think this is a very, very good setup for Corey Connors to potentially win on. And also everything Reed said does kind of apply to Russell Henley. You're getting at plus 2,000, but even Henley at plus 2,000, I'm not betting him unless he's, got a 3 in front of his name. So I like Woodland at plus 3,500. I like starting there. I think that if you were looking to do two guys on the DraftKings Sportsbook, I would probably look at adding maybe an answer. You could take one of those guys at plus 2,000, I guess, but I just go back to the fact, like, is there really, like, even Siwoo Kim at plus 4,000, who like wins, it seems once every year at this point, why is his odds like double Fitzpatrick? Like, all these guys at plus 4,000 and down, too similar for me to really just jump on guys that have shorter odds. It's just a value proposition for me. That's why I really like Woodland, starting off with Woodland at plus 35. So
Fowler, looks like your boy Finau's back to some elite form after that final round. You were getting a little emotionally. I think I saw Pat Mayo talking about it too. Like those first couple of rounds really struggled last week a little bit with putting. Then all of a sudden, and Jeff and I mentioned this on the sweat this week too, he looked like a different dude on the weekend south of the border.
I mean,
you're so emotional right now, dude.
Like, at what point? Look, the putting was fine on the weekend, but he was never in contention.
Yeah,
let's get one thing. Like, he was never in contention, right? Like, if Rahm came back and made mistakes, which is hard to do if you're hoping for that to happen, if you have a Finau ticket like I did, he was never in contention. And what worries me, and this is what I tweeted out last week, I mean, like, at what point does he go to Webb Simpson? Does he go to these guys, Adam Scott, who were dog-you-know-what putters conventionally with a short putter, and have changed to be and Adam Scott especially, right? And Tony Finau should look at Adam Scott and say, I want to follow that guy's career / his, how he's playing his game, because a lot of what they do is comparable, right? Especially early in Adam Scott's career, where he was a terrible putter with the short stick. I mean, he was a Tony Finau before he became Adam Scott. And actually, Adam Scott's probably a little bit better. I'm probably downplaying how good Scotty was and is still. But look at his move to the long stick putter. Now, I'm not saying that's the answer, but when you look at Tony Finau, like, he loses an awful amount of strokes putting. It is bad. And if you watched him on PGA Tour Live and you saw some of those 3-foot putts, 3 feet, that's half of you, Emerson. That's all you got to do is make it half of you. And he wasn't even hitting the cup. So it's not that it's great. Yes, I love to see that he got a second place and I can rip up my first place, my outright on Tony Finau, because I'm not betting in top 5. What scares me about what he is this week, right? And great, he's playing better. I love it. Is that this is the exact opposite type of course than Vedanta. Vedanta had wide fairways, and look, Finau's accuracy is off the tee is awful this year. Like, he's like 120th in the last 24 rounds in driving accuracy. This is the one spot that you need to hit the ball in the fairway. And if you don't, bogeys are coming, at a fast pace. And that's what scares me about Finau. And he's, I think, the second most bet on person. I don't like it. And I like Finau every week, but this week especially, I don't like it. And why I think it's good if he misses the cut is maybe we get a little drift. Maybe we get a little drift of the PGA Championship, guys. And then we get that number up to where because at Southern Hills, that's where he can really flex his muscle, not here. So it's good to see, but I think it's a little bit of a red herring, and he needs to change his putting now, even if he played well and he putted well on the weekend.
All right, 3 feet 1 inch is half of me because I'm 6'2".
Okay, he'll miss that too.
Just so you know that. Ulrich, he missed the cut at Wells Fargo a year ago. But as we've mentioned throughout the week, this is a new course. This is at TPC Potomac. So it's not down south. Can he ride last weekend's momentum here, finishing on that 63?
I mean, again, like, I would look more ahead to Tony Finau and be I pretty much I'm just going to say word for word with Rita. I hope he misses a cut too. I'm not going to bet him this week. Plus 2,500 is, I guess it's fine. Like, you can just keep betting Tony Finau until he pays off again. But like, I just don't know why people keep having to go back to him at this number. Like, he's a good player. Like, we get it, but I think he's proven to us by this point that, like, he's not so good at closing out wins. You can be a good player and not have a ton of wins. Like, it's fine. So I think you'll get a better number and actually have a better chance for him to grab a win at Southern Hills. Like, I really do. So I'm looking for that too. Let's all get on the miscut for Tony Finau train this week.
This is
and get back
unbelievable.
on the Tony Finau train at Southern Hills in 2 weeks.
Hey, look, this is
What do we
this is a
have?
betting-
What
this is
are
a
his
betting
odds for that?
show.
What are his odds? Bring them up.
This is a betting show.
This could be.
So
This is
could be a great
crazy to me.
opportunity.
I
This
think
used to be this, you too, especially you, Reed. You were Tony Finau
Tony Finau
stan,
to miss
and then
the cut.
even Jeff. Jeff is a bandwagon
Cross the
guy. He
Wells
hops on
Fargo.
every once in a while. Now both of you are like, yeah, I kind of hope he misses the cut. What the hell? The dark
Plus
side.
180.
You
Hey,
both
if you-
gone to
if
the
you
dark
want-
side.
If you want the cupcake, we hope everyone makes the cut. This is the wrong place. This is the wrong place.
Hell
I'm gonna make
yeah, I like
make
this.
You guys money. No, I'm the one person that would be a Tony Finau stan, but I'm out here to make you guys money. And right now, I think the best bet to make you money is either going head to head Tony Finau and Gary Woodland. And I think you get plus money at plus 100, Gary over Finau, and Finau to miss the cut at plus 180. I'm telling you, like, this is the exact opposite course. And look, could he win? Absolutely. But right now, this is the exact opposite course in Vedanta. And maybe he finds something, but if he's not accurate off the tee and he can't putt, that is a recipe for disaster at TPC Potomac.
Okay. Ulrich, you got any best bets as well? Anything else you want to share before we turn our attention to football here?
Oh yeah, I mean we got to go down the board. I mean I just said,
hook me up.
If we're starting at plus 35, we got lots of room to add. I like there's some guys that like. I'll start with CT Pan, who's definitely one of my favorites this week. Dude's gained strokes on approach in 6 straight starts. He's very accurate off the tee, and he's been gaining strokes off the tee too. That's a perfect example of guys who win. Kyle Stanley, Francesco Molinari. He's bigger. He was plus 5,000 last week, and he played well last week. He just didn't make anything around the green. He lost like 1 stroke around the green. He didn't really putt that great. Now he's plus 8,000, and like it's a little bit of a stronger field, but it's not that much stronger. I think that's like, if I'm looking down the board there, CT Pan is a guy who's up there. If you look at his bogey avoidance too, he's top 10 bogey avoidance over the last 24 rounds. His birdie rate is fine. I think CT Pan is a very good bet this week at plus 8,000. You could look to him of our top 10, perhaps at plus 700. I think he's going to get in the mix here. He's playing too well not to. And I think this course, again, it's like the complete opposite of Finau. Last week, the course was a little bit too long for him. This week, it's like the complete opposite. This is the perfect setup for a guy like CT Pan, who doesn't make that many bogeys when he's playing like this, hits all the fairways, and isn't that long a hitter, but he's not going to be handicapped by it this week. So I'm looking at Pan at plus 8,000. I'm going to stay on my boy Lipsky for one more week, who led the field in strokes gain approach. Similar type player, hits fairways, doesn't hit it far, plus 10,000. Those are 2 guys I'm targeting deep in the odds.
Anything else you want to add, Fowler?
Yeah, let's go way down the board, because if you want to look at the guys that I like, it's on DK Nation. Jeff's, all of his stuff is on DK Nation too, but I'm going way down here. Let's see if I can find him.
What do you got?
Way down here. Let's just do the.
Oh my God.
F.
Well, hell, while
There it
you're
is.
trying to find whoever it is, Jeff, remember, yesterday, Sobel had a guy for his long shot who wasn't even listed on here yet.
Oh yeah, is he on here yet? Actually,
I don't know. I forgot who it was. Oh, why did Lingmerth win the Monday qualifier?
He did.
Oh, he did. That's sweet. I always liked that last name of his. I think I interviewed him once in South Florida, but I can't remember anymore. Who
But
is it? Who do you got?
I'm going Charlie Hoffman.
Oh,
Not-
wow.
Not to win, but here's his numbers. If you want to take his outright top 5, top 10, I believe his top 20 is plus 700, or excuse me, his top 40. Something I have to double check that. But here's someone that's missed the cut 4 straight times. He's missed the cut 4 straight times.
Like 4 straight tournaments or 4 straight times here?
Like 4 straight tournaments. Like
Okay,
he's been bad. He's been bad. So this is a little bit of a long shot, but this is why you come here, for something like this. But when you take a look at what he does, long irons, he's one of the best. He ranks like 8th of the last 12 to 24 rounds in proximity from 175 to 200. And if you take a look at some comp courses, I think Travelers, so TPC River Highlands and the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial, Charlie Hoffman has really good finishes there. We know this guy can light it up with his irons. It hasn't been there, but this is a type of course that if you can get it in the fairway and you can basically lean on some experience at similar type of short courses, I think you're getting some decent value on Charlie Hoffman at this number. Like if you want to would be a bet him outright at plus 25,000, be my guest. But I believe his top 40 number is still pretty solid. If I just double check, because I think it's something that we should take a look at, because this is again a tournament. Yeah, plus 275 to make the top 40. This is a tournament that he can do it, right? I know there's a lot of other names out there, some college kids, and some youngins out there, but Charlie Hoffman is probably one of my favorite off the wall pick. If not, Abraham Anster, Cameron Young, those are a couple guys that I like at the top.
Yeah, here we go. Producer Eamon said it was it Eugenio Lopez Chikara?
That's it. Chikara.
That's him.
Yep.
I don't even know if he's on the.
I still don't think he's listed in the.
I don't think he's listed.
So that'd be kind of crazy. What happens if he just like shocks the world? Greatest upset in the history of sports, wins it, and not a single person out there has $1 on him, at least legally.
Well,
can you bet? I don't know if you can. Is he he's an amateur still, right?
Is he? I don't know.
Yeah, he is. Because he went back for his final.
So what does that mean? You can not bet on amateurs, or amateurs?
You can bet on them. I'm pretty sure you can anyway.
Okay.
But
I had no idea.
He would. Unless he turned pro, he wouldn't get the prize money. So.
All right. Hey, is Cam Davis? Is that good at all for a long shot for at least like a top 5, top 10? Anybody feeling that at all? That's just one guy. When I did a little bit of research, I was like,
Cam Davis is generally like a great DFS play. And his odds are probably big enough that
plus 10,000.
Cam Davis is hard to figure. Like you'd figure this wouldn't be the greatest setup for him because he tends to spray the ball a lot, but he also is just like can get really hot with his irons, right? Like like Corey Connor's hot, right? So if he could keep it in the fairway here, he put a T3 in at RBC Hilton Head, which is another course where, it's a quirky, shorter course. It's not really a power hitter's course at all. So, I don't hate it. I think whenever you're getting plus 10,000 on Cam Davis in a field like this, and he's not playing like, dog poop, it's probably not a bad bet.
Okay. All right, cool. Cause I saw, what do you have? He was T46, the Masters. And then it was that was one stroke. He missed that playoff. I think it was at RBC Heritage with
and I think he ended with like a 64 there, like if I remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but
so it's plus 1,600 for a top 5, plus 800 for a top 10 finish. But I trust you.
He's good last year.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some football here because we got about 10 minutes to go in this show. We mentioned it a little bit this morning. Reed, you talked about it. DeAndre Hopkins with the big suspension, PED, I think it was for six games. We didn't see it really impact the win total at all for the Cardinals, but how hesitant, I guess, how cautious would you be taking the over now? Because we saw how on that win total for the Cardinals, because we saw last year like what this team was without Hopkins in it. I think they went like I don't have the notes in front of me anymore. Without him though, I thought they went like 1-4.
Yeah,
I think
wasn't great.
I think they were like really, really bad. I was kind of surprised that it didn't impact the win total like a little more.
Well,
they got Marquise Brown.
Yeah, like this is the thing that we talk about too in the regular season is that wide receivers and running backs, they don't change lines, right? Like if Saquon Barkley was out or now if DeAndre Hopkins is out, they don't really change lines that much. When an offensive lineman is out, if he's hurt, like, if during the week, especially a left guard or left tackle, or if a quarterback obviously is out, then that can change a line drastically. But the receivers, and we see it all the time too, that like, look, DeAndre Hopkins he's fantastic. But what was he doing last year? Well, he was a red zone guy, right? He can change the momentum of a game, but in terms of scoring, and maybe DeAndre Hopkins is a bad example because he scored all of his points came from touchdowns. But for the most part, these guys really don't, right? Unless you're like Michael Thomas during Drew Brees, what he was doing, then you might see the line change like half a game or a game, right? But other than that, you don't really see the line move for these running backs who are out and these wide receivers because you can see them, change. You don't really see them change the landscape of the game.
All right, Jeff. Let's see. They were 1-4 after losing Hopkins in week 14. They were destroyed by the Rams by 23 points in the playoffs, and they averaged only 18 points per game in their final 5 without Hopkins as well. And then you look at Kyler Murray too, and the impact that had on him. And now you slide in like Hollywood Brown there, but his completion percentage went from 71% down to 63%. And like Hollywood Brown is not the kind of receiver that DeAndre Hopkins is.
No, he's definitely not like that possession receiver either. Yeah, I mean, right now the Arizona Cardinals, win total set at 9. So, for a push, you need them to go just above 500, 9-8. Obviously they got San Francisco in there, the Rams. I think them having Seattle in their division, which is Seattle's going to be
not good.
They're probably just not going to be very good. Like
it all depends if they get your boy Nick Foles.
What's that?
It depends on if they get your boy Nick Foles.
Right. Again, I was leaving a little bit of room for when they sign Nick Foles, but I mean, Arizona's not a team I'm super bullish on next year at all. I feel like the team really they ran really good in a lot of areas last year. I remember there was a stat. I think they fumbled the ball 25 times and they only lost like 3 of them or something like that. Like it was something crazy. Yeah. Like they had just insane fumble luck on offense. And then you add to the fact where they ran really hot on offense for like 5 or 6 weeks. But like when Hopkins was out, it was a problem. Now Hopkins is going to be in. They're bringing in a guy in Marquise Brown who has never really gelled to the point where he's like been a consistent receiver. And they're trying to mix him in with another guy in Rondale Moore. And then an AJ Green, who just like is not AJ Green anymore. I don't know, man. I think that this team could get, I think they have a legit shot of being the worst team in the division. But I'm not necessarily sure I'm confident enough to bet them at that juice at -130 under. This was 9.5. This was 10. I'd be in the under 100%. Right now I'm probably just in a wait and see mode. See if we can get like 9.5 or something. But yeah, I'm not super big on the Cardinals next year. There's just no reason to be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Reed,
they got creamed in the playoffs too, didn't they? Like if I remember, I mean,
are you talking about the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that earlier. So they got beat by 23 points by the Rams.
Yeah, like it's just, I mean, when they played, I know they had that one win against the Rams, and it was like, oh, this team is legit. But like after that, there was really just, they did not look good. And I think that you just had a team that went on a hot stretch with Kyler Murray, and now you've got like a disgruntled Kyler Murray and all this like weirdness with the receivers. I don't know. And I don't think it's a good formula.
And you got to think about, they're a team, especially with Cliff Kingsbury, right? That traditionally starts hot and then craps itself like towards the second half of the season. Now you've got to attempt to start hot without DeAndre Hopkins. And then you got to kind of fight history and tradition there in Arizona, where Cliff Kingsbury can't like coach his team for whatever reason.
I also think there's a little bit of, since we're talking about Cliff Kingsbury, I think there's a little bit of like Chip Kelly and Cliff Kingsbury. And what I mean by that is I think the league is slowly starting to figure out his scheme. It's really not that good. Like it's not that innovative in my opinion. Like it's not Kyle Shanahan-esque where it's almost unstoppable to the point where that every year Kyle Shanahan's going to have a good rushing team. I don't know if I see that with the Cardinals at all. Like I think James Conner's due for some regression. Reed's boy. There's nothing about this team that like jumps off the page to me.
No way. It's not like he was like a Nick Saban coming out of college. Like I think he was floating around like 500 at Texas Tech. Yeah, like
he was like Cliff Kingsbury coming out of college.
Yeah. Reed, I got to give you an opportunity here to show some love for America's team, because we didn't get to the question today. We got to offensive rookie of the year odds early on. Oh yeah. By the way, all the numbers are up for the international games that the NFL just announced. Defensive rookie of the year. So I think Hutchinson, right, is the favorite, but you're a big believer in Trayvon Walker. Is that correct?
Negative, not Trayvon Walker.
What? You like the linebacker out of Utah.
I like the linebacker out of Utah. Look, Trayvon Walker is fine, but I don't think he wins defensive rookie of the year. He could, but I mean, I love this pick by you. I really do. Devin Lloyd. And look, a linebacker hasn't won it in quite some time. But if you take a look at who's won defensive rookie of the year, it's usually like it's not a safety. Like if it was a safety award or if it included safeties and cornerbacks, right? Like Kyle Hamilton would be my favorite. He's like my favorite player in the draft, not named Jordan Davis. And Jordan Davis isn't going to win the award because he's a guy who plays interior D line. So that's just not going to happen. And so when I take a look at sort of the totality of it, and like Aiden Hutchinson is fine at plus 450. I also like him to go over his 8.5 sack number at plus 100 as well. just because I think he's the most pro ready. But if I'm taking a chance right now, right, because there's injuries, schedules, and all that stuff needs to come out, Devin Lloyd is going to be a 3-down guy. If you take a look at who's the defensive coordinator now for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he was a linebackers coach in Tampa Bay. And what did Tampa Bay do? Their scheme was to put those two linebackers, right, in David and White, on there for 3 downs. And what Devin Lloyd does extremely well is blitz. So this has a little bit of a Micah Parsons recency bias type act to it. Of if this guy can get you 6-7 sacks, and if that's what he's going to be called upon to do, then you're going to start to see him put up numbers in the stat sheet, right? That's what gets these awards. It's usually the guys like the Aiden Hutchinson Hutchinsons of the world that wins this. If Sauce or Stingley can get you 5 interceptions, then they're going to win this. But I think Devin Lloyd right now, if he can put up some good numbers, good tackle numbers, because he's going to be on the field. Jacksonville's defense is going to, they're going to be on the field more times than not.
Yep.
That leads to stats if he's able to stay healthy. And Devin Lloyd he's great. So plus 800, I really like it.
Yo, Ulrich, it's hard to think that like Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame, Ravens safety would be a sleeper in the category. He opened, I believe, at plus 1,000. He's already down to plus 800 there, and he can play just about anywhere in the backfield, as we've learned.
Best.
Yeah, I'd probably prefer that pick over like a Stingley. Maybe even over Gardner. Gardner could get overshadowed by his teammate too, Jermaine Johnson, right? So yeah, I don't hate that. Because again, like if the Ravens do well, like there just could be more eyes. I mean, even if even if Reed's right and Gardner gets like a handful of picks, but the Jets stink, I mean, it's just gonna be less likely that the award goes to him. So yeah, Kyle Hamilton does kind of stick out. I think I'd probably prefer him just for that reason. I was gonna mention Jermaine Johnson. Like I don't hate that pick either. I don't know. The defensive player is interesting. I actually really, I think if I'm looking at that plus 800 number, I'd probably lean towards Kyle Hamilton. Okay. But I mean, you can go bigger, like Andrew Booth Jr.
Yep.
At plus 2,200. I mean, I'm not even sure why Andrew Booth fell to the second round. I mean, he was ranked above Elam in terms of cornerbacks. He's going to a team where he's going to start because the Vikings secondary is terrible. Dude's got a lot of talent. I think that, I think as like Stingley, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure he didn't even have a ton of picks in college. I'm pretty sure Booth is more productive in that area. So if I'm looking down there, I would really take a look at Andrew Booth Jr. George Karlaftis is another name that could stick out a little bit, plus 1,600. I don't know. I mean, the Chiefs have a bunch of pass rushers, so he could just end up sharing the love. I think Andrew Booth Jr. Plus 2,200. That's where I would go for a defensive. I think this defensive one is obviously wide open, and there's a lot of good names here though. So yeah, Booth at 2,200. That's a bet for me, to be honest.
Do we have to go? Like it's 5:56.
I don't know. How is it time to go? I feel like we just got.
I understand. Well, I think we started late. I think the Raiders lost the stem at 5 o'clock, and they are at 4 o'clock, and they ran late.
Well, it wasn't a PR set in PR.
Nobody was setting a PR in Puerto Rico on their Peloton. But yeah, we do have to go. Producer Eamon says that was a good show. It was like short and sweet. I'm glad we started with golf because there was a boatload of bets that you guys shared. So if you tuned in late and you missed it, rewind wherever you're watching us right now and listen to what these two have to say about some of the best bets there for the Wells Fargo Championship that tees off tomorrow. We got a little DraftKings ball, little DraftKings meatball right there. Okay. We'll see everybody later. Hope you had a good May the 4th, and check out Twitter. Check out our Twitter pages right now because there are some interesting Star Wars memes that Billy made. So love you guys and gals. Appreciate you. We'll see you later.
Shout out Rory.
Rory. Bro. Oh my God.